Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of TurboShed, where we move the radiator from the front of the car to the back of the car. It's the first weekend of the Great British Lockdown and we've locked ourselves down in the garage where we should be.
Yep.
And so first jobs on this is to drop the coolant out of it and rip the radiator out the front and lay it in the back to see how it's going to fit, where it's going to fit, and then we're going to get happy with the grinding disc.
Yes, we think we've got everything. Our suppliers have sent parts this week, so we've got some sheet aluminium which we'll need to make the mount box. We've got an EWP 150 Davies Craig water pump, which is the biggest one they do. Because of the length of the car, we think we'll need that. We've got 10 meters of 38mm aluminium tube, because this is quite a long car and we've got to go forwards and back. And we've got some copper silicon 90s, some straight silicon, some aluminium bends, and we're just going to cut it up and make it up as we go along, and hopefully we can get this sorted out.
Give it a go, shall we?
Well, I think so. We've got nothing better to do other than sit on the sofa and watch TV, which boring people do.
Well, TV's just reruns anyway, so there's nothing interesting there.
Nope. Right, let's get this radiator out of the front and hopefully it never goes back in there.
Hopefully. Radiator. That's leaking water everywhere. No more radiator. As you can see, we've got a lot more room in the engine bay now, and we also don't have all that heat coming off the radiator going into the engine. So now we've only got exhaust heat and intercooler heat coming, which should take a lot more heat out of the engine bay, and moving it to the rear as well will take even more heat out, and then no more cooling issues, we hope.
So easy. Just put that in there and run two hoses from the front to the back. How hard can it be?
We've said this before, it's never easy with this car.
Now this has got 2-day job written all over it.
Oh yeah. this 1-day job has got 1 week written all over it.
Well,
as usual.
First thing, Leon, the fans have to go downwards because it's going to suck.
Yes.
They're suction fans. So
yes.
Let's see if this actually fits
in the hole.
In, well, the hole that we're going to make.
Yes. We've used our very high-tech mock-up brick to mock up the angle the radiator is going to sit on, because we need one end higher than the other so it actually bleeds out. And we've decided we're going to pull air in through the top of here and these holes down here, and then fire it out the bottom underneath the car. So we need to make an aluminium box, we need to move the fans to the other side, and we need to mount the catch can and all that jazz, and then we've got a rear mount radiator. Simple as that.
So here we remove the fans off that side of the radiator, because they're going to have to go on what will be the underside, so they act as pull fans. That's it.
We've resorted to cardboard aided design again for those fans of Binky, and this is what we've come up with to mount the bottom or the top of the radiator, depending on how you think of it, to the car. So it's just going to be a piece of sheet steel probably, and we're going to cut out the shape, weld it in, and put a return on it, bend it 45 degrees there, with 2 holes, one there and there, for the rubbers, so the top or bottom of the radiator with the pins in it can sit into it. Weld that all up, job done. We've got a radiator in the boot.
The first job's to take our cardboard template, draw around it with a Sharpie onto some 1mm sheet steel that we found in the workshop, put the cutting disc on the grinder, and then just run around that profile and click go. You can't see it in the video, but I was wearing safety glasses doing this. profile, and we'll clean the edges up.
This is our bottom mount, almost done. So we've got this bulkhead, we've bent the return back. The radiator sits on top of the return with these two plates that go and mount into the rubbers. So now we're going to tack these on, weld a couple of ribs either side just to strengthen it up a bit, and that's our bottom radiator mount done. And then we need to get brave with the grinder and cut the boot floor out.
So first job, Leon gets them tacked in place. That's both of those done, and then we can seam weld down both sides of them, which is the strongest way to weld these, before making the ribs. So we made these small triangular ribs, and here we are. Leon gets those tacked in place and then welds in the left hand side so it's easy for access, and then we tack the right hand side on and we weld those in too. About 1 inch every 2 inches works fine. Job done. This is it. That's our bulkhead laid in position. It's just sat there now. We need to cut the boot floor out. This is it. This is where it becomes a one-way trip. So what I've done is I've marked this 1 inch inside the bulkhead there, so we'll be able to fold that lip up and weld it to the bulkhead, so that'll give us good strength there. And then we're going to cut out the rest of the boot floor around the exhaust hanger, and hopefully that should be okay. We might have a bit more trimming to do afterwards, but at least we'll be somewhere near. The fuel tank's there, so I know I'm not going to cut through it underneath. So that's it, it's time. Our bulkhead looks pretty good, it's nice and strong, so let's cut the boot floor out. Wow, ventilated that.
What have we done?
Well, that's good, we haven't chopped through anything important.
Radiator trial fit number 1.
I'll get this side, you get that side.
What have we done? It needs to lay down a bit.
I think that's about right, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Watch your eyes. Yeah. Now we've got the bulkhead in place, we can tack the top end of it. So we tack that off to the body, get that sorted out. And we now use the hammer. We've cut a few little slots in the edge there, and we can use the hammer to tap the edge over, and that gives us a folded edge, which is a lot stronger than a butt joint. So we just work our way along, and we can weld it slowly so we don't get too much distortion. Tack it, hammer it in, get that welded on, and that's going to give us a really strong bulkhead for mounting this radiator to, and put a bit of strength back into the boot floor, which obviously is now a hole instead of a floor. So we get the rest of it welded up, and that's going to be a pretty good job, we think.
The radiator is pseudo in the car. We've got our specially calibrated brick and axe to get the radiator at the right height, and it's time to make another CAD template, cardboard aider design for the back of the radiator, or the front, or whatever you want to call it. So this will go between here and the other side of the radiator, make it the width of the car to start with, so we can trim it down if we need to, and that's what's going to mount off these two pegs.
So the template process is the same as usual. Get the tape measure out, we'll get our approximate measurements, we'll mark those out onto a big sheet of cardboard that we've got here, and that will form the basis. We can then cut that template out as a rough square to start with, and we can put our fold lines in where we think we're going to need them, and hopefully that'll be somewhere near when we try it in the car.
First part of our cab template is done. It was very simple, it's just 2 bends and 2 corners cut off of it, and this is going to be the basis for the rest of the box that's going to go around the radiator. So let's get some aluminium out and start doing some cutting.
So we just transfer the template out onto the aluminium, and then we'll use the thin slitting disc on the grinder to cut it out and fold the edge over a bench. Well, here we are, we've bent the sheet, 45 here, 90 here, so it puts a bit of strength into it. We'll put some edge bends on when we've decided what we're going to do with the sides. So simply this is going to fit against the back of the car there. And in there, and that looks pretty good to me, and we'll rivet this to the body of the car, and we'll put a couple of nutserts in here which we can use to mount these tabs. Bit of rubber strip or foam strip along there for the radiator to sit on, and that's the back mounted, so that's looking pretty good. So, but before we put this in properly, we're going to have a bit of a think and decide what we're doing with the sides of the radiator. But anyway, we're getting there now. Pretty good sheet metal. Well, more CAD templates, so we need to box this area in, so we're just going to come off that surface, go straight up and straight across, and we'll put a lip on here so we can rivet down the side there, rivet it to here, rivet it to there, and that will create that box in there. It's more CAD. So as before, we cut out the basic template from a sheet of cardboard. We can then put more detail in, put the angles in, and put the folds in where we think they're going to be, and that's going to give us a good guide when we try it in the car to know we're somewhere near. We can then transfer that template over onto aluminium, and then use the slitting disc again on the aluminium sheet. We're only using 1mm aluminium here, and we can cut out the profile. Once that's cut, it's into the sheet metal folder, because this piece is short enough to fit in the 24-inch folder we've got. That does a nice job of those bends, but we can't get them all in because some of them clash. So the other ones, it's onto the edge of the workbench, and the soft-faced hammer, it's only thin aluminium, and we can just knock those bends in. After that, simple case, stick a few holes along the bottom there, we've already got it clamped in place. And then we can stick a couple of rivets in. The pneumatic gun makes this so much easier than a manual one. Then we can put the back sheet in as well. And again, we can stick a couple of rivets into this just to hold it in place. Drill the holes, we're using 4.8mm rivets. Get the rivet gun again, put those in, that's a nice job. And that means we can try the radiator in.
I'm sorry.
Looks okay, so I'm going to put some foam or rubber along the edge.
Yeah, along that edge as well. Look at that. Beauty. So that needs to go down a little bit on that edge.
With the right hand and rear in, we can now do the left, and that's a simple case of reversing the template from the other side, making sure that fits, and then we can get that cut. Yeah. So the same process as the right hand side. We just put a few clamps on. We can drill some 4.8mm holes there with the battery drill, and then in with the pneumatic rivet gun and put a few rivets round, and that will give us a chance to try the radiator in and see how it fits with all three sides on the box now. With the box properly riveted up, the next job is to put a couple of nutserts in so we can use the original mountings. So nice job here, we just drill the pilot hole, then drill the 9mm hole that's going to be the correct size to take the nutsert. And then we get our favourite tool, the nutsert tool, put these in, squish the handles together and unscrew the tool, and then we've got a nice threaded fastener inside that sheet aluminium.
Radiator's in, box is pretty much done. It's absolutely solid. We used the riv nuts into the aluminium sheet to be able to reuse the original mounts from the front of the car, and we've only got half the rivets we need in, and that's not going anywhere, any of it. So finish off this and then onto the fans, which is going to be a fun job.
We've got our radiator box in, we're very happy with that, that's nice and strong, and we've got to get cooling fans in now. So I've got this fan, which, I don't know, it might be a Mishimoto or something, I don't know what it is. It pulls about 10 amps, it's a bit puny, but it's what we've got. And we've got our proper upgrade SPAL fan. This draws 20 amps, this is the daddy, but these are the two best fans we've got. We're going to put them in. They're both pull fans, which means they need to go underneath the radiator because the air is going to go down and out the bottom. So probably the best thing to do here is use this box, and we're going to make a fan shroud that comes off these two surfaces here, goes down a bit, and we will mount one of the fans here with a big hole in, and we will mount the other fan here, and I think that's all we need to do. So a bit more sheet aluminium work, we'll measure this up, do some bends to make sure it's strong, and get these fans mounted. Yeah, it shouldn't be too bad. I thought this was going to be a nightmare mounting these, but it'll be okay, I think. So it's out with a tape measure again. We transfer the measurements over onto our sheet aluminium we've got here, another piece of our 1mm thick. We can then lay the fans in place and mark out the mounting holes, and also we can mark out the diameters for the fans. The small one's okay, we've already got a matching hole in one of the old shrouds, so we can use that. The larger one we didn't have, and after rooting around the workshop for 10 minutes I realised that my big engine timing disc is about the right size, so we'll use that. So it's the same process as before. Get the slipping disc onto the grinder and we can rough out the panel along the lines that we've made. Once that's done, we can notch out the corners, and this will allow us to get the bends in easier. And then we clamp it to the bench with bits of wood because it is too wide to go into our sheet metal bender again. And then we can just use a bit of wood and the plastic faced hammer, and we can work our way along the edges and put the bends in that we need. So we simply just work our way along a little bit at a time. The bit of wood stops you putting hammer dents into the aluminium, obviously precision hammering here. Then we can turn it sideways and put the edge bends in here. You'll see underneath here I actually put a piece of wood the right length so we could use to bend it over.
That's one fan shroud.
Nice. Fan shroud for me. A couple of pilot holes, and then it's time for the jigsaw. Get these holes out of the centre of here so the fans can go in. It's starting to look like a fan shroud. There's one last job. It's very thin aluminium and it's thin in the middle, so I made this centre rib, and we're simply going to get the pneumatic rivet tool again, and we are going to rivet a rib down the centre just to add some extra strength.
Here's our shroud, all finished, apart putting the fans in. On this side, we've left enough room to be able to get a bigger spout fan in if we decide to buy one in the future, which we probably will because those are very good fans. But yeah, a bit of reinforcing strip down the middle, keep the strength in it, and yeah, let's just put the fans in and put it in the car.
So a pretty simple job to put it in. We just hold it in place and put a couple of clamps on, and then we can drill some mounting holes through. And in the case of this, we're going to bolt the shroud in. We don't want to rivet it because it makes it easier to get in and out later on if we ever want to take it out, because we don't need this for strength. The outer box has enough. The fans go on from underneath. Leon pokes the bolts through from the top. I get the job of laying underneath the car. Not sure how I got that one. In goes the big spiral fan. That's that sorted. And then we can get all those bolts tightened up, and that'll be a nice job. Here's the view from underneath the car now. That's plenty of nice open space to get all that hot air out, so hopefully that should work really well. And from above, plenty of space again, that's what you need. Last job, we'll put the radiator in and make sure that fits nicely. Yep, better. We'll put the foam in there, so that'll just hold it off those bolts. Yep, just the job. Well, that's it. We're going to leave this part of the build here. I was hoping to do this in one episode, but it's going to end up being 50 minutes long or something crazy. And nobody seems to have that attention span, so we're going to split this up into two halves. So there we are. We've got the radiator in, we've got the shrouds in, we've got the box around the radiator, we've got the fans mounted in. So that's all come together very nicely. Please join us next time when we'll make all the aluminium pipes to run to the front and back again. We'll install the EWP 150 water pump, do the relays, do the wiring for everything, and get it all back up and running. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, please comment. We read all the comments. We'll reply if people have got questions or such like. And stay safe, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time and we'll finish this job off.